So this would be called page XIII, Roman numeral 13, called Forward to the First Edition. And you go ahead and read at your pace. Make sure you have your highlighters ready and a pen in hand.
Okay. We of alcoholic. Okay.
Oh, no, you want to read forward to the first edition.
Forward as it appeared in.
So read it like this. Forward to first edition.
Okay, this is the
No.
forward to first edition. Okay, this is the forward as it appeared in the first printing of the first edition in 1939.
So there you go. The first copy of this book came in 1939. They started writing it in 35 when they were like figuring this thing out. And then in 39, oh, I don't have to say it. The book's going to say it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body.
Okay, put in pink. Recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And then we're going to talk about what that means.
Okay.
So just for fun, what is one word that we could use right now to either describe an addictive type of pattern you got going on, or that you did have going on and that you have recovered from? Just so we can change the word alcohol and make it more personal, personalize the experience here.
Worry. Well,
I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah.
What?
Obsessive, constant worry.
Beautiful. Okay, now let's look at this. So they're saying that this is the story of how more than 100 men and women actually recovered, right? That means they got well, past tense, right? They recovered. Recovered from what? They didn't say recovered from alcoholism. They said recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. So when you were in the obsessive worry, would you say that when you're in it, it's like you're in what seems like an absolutely hopeless state of mind, that you can't fix your brain, you can't fix your mind? Once that worry obsession hits, you know it's killing you, you know it's destructive, but it's hopeless. It's like it seems like there's no way out of stopping the worry.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also saying a hopeless state of mind and body. So I'm just going to stretch this. What they meant by that is the physical craving an alcoholic has when they take alcohol. But we can still apply this to behavioral addictions. So when you were in the obsessive worry, well, I'm not going to ask a question because I know the answer. So, right? Remember when your hair used to fall out?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those pains that you would get in your gut every time, what, like it was like a seemingly hopeless state of body. Like, in other words, you couldn't control that your hair was falling out in your body. You couldn't control all of those stomach aches that you'd be getting. It's almost like you had these hopeless physical manifestations of, go ahead, what are you present to? That seemed hopeless.
The sweaty palms, just the anxiety, like I was just so scared that I didn't even know how to get out of it in that moment.
That's a thought thing, but tell me about the hopeless state of the body, the seemingly hopeless state of the body.
Well, I would just be like...
The palpitations was perfect. That's an example.
the sweaty palms, the anxiousness in the stomach. Um, just feeling really warm inside, like I would just be closing. It's like I'll be closing in. I'm just getting really like
Warm as
warm.
in not a comfortable warm, like an uncomfortable hotness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
My even if I would talk, my voice would be trembling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a body thing. So it seemed hopeless, right? Like you just kind of like, that's just Samina. I mean, that's just the way it is. There's no point about talking about it to my mother or anyone because it's never going to stop and they're just going to make me feel bad. So I just not talk about it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about. You have the same type of things too, right? As an alcoholic, it's just a different manifestation of an addiction. Read the next sentence.
To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book.
So you put the word recovered in pink and everything else in that sentence in blue.
Okay.
See, isn't that powerful? That's why it's in blue. To
Yeah.
show other alcoholics precisely how we recovered is the main purpose of this book.
Yeah.
Keep reading.
For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary.
So what that means, it's our hope that just by reading this book, you're going to be convinced and you're going to do the program in this book. And here's what's bizarre, Samina. In the very beginning of AA in 1939, these books went out. People didn't have sponsors. People read the book, and because the book spoke the language of the time, many people reported getting the book, reading it, and recovering. I've never heard a case like that now. Like nobody, that's not the story because this book is a different language, right? It's 1939 language. It never happens. You never see anybody. I read the book. I got the book. It was so easy to understand. I just did it. It made sense to me. Never heard that story in the 20 years I've been in recovery. But it happened in the very beginning. So their point was, we hope that when you read this book, you're going to read what we did, and it's all going to make sense, and you're going to read some of the stories, and you're going to be convinced that you're not going to need to have a phone call with someone for us to convince you because we're not. Keep reading.
For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary, which is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Guess in my world, the warrior.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. Just circle alcoholic, put worrier.
It's perfect. I'm also going through this when I'm doing an anxiety worry offer.
Yeah. Because some of the people are going to be suitable for you to take them through the book on this. It might be you have one session a month with that lady who doesn't have no money,
Yeah.
right? We're still going to, we still going to put in the membership say that's what we want to do too. We want to make sure that they can only book appointments through us, follow-ups inside the membership site, that the calendars will be updated and changed, but they always got to go in there because inside there, we're going to put, pass the hat, and we're going to make it so that they're reminded, right, that if you still make a donation here.
Yeah. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very, very sick person. And
See, back
besides,
then, see, let's apply it to you, right? See, people can't comprehend that this worry thing is like destroying your life, that you don't have control over it. Like people say, don't worry, you know,
oh,
and they don't understand. They can't comprehend. We don't need to use the word sickness now in this world, right? But we don't have to label it sickness unless you want to. But people cannot comprehend that this person, Samina, actually has lost the power of choice in reducing her worry or controlling it all. People don't comprehend that. And people don't comprehend that the worry addiction is really a real addiction, let's say. Oh, you didn't smoke crack or whatever. Like in this world, people just can't comprehend, you know, that's why the landlord, after you said, I just need 90 days of momentum and then I'm intending to make money and pay the rent. Just give me that space for 90 days. And then the very next week you get an email from the landlord. Like they can't honestly comprehend that if they just give you the space, that there's a chance that your worry not being triggered could have you be so in abundance and flow that you'll bring in the money. Like if the landlord had said something like this, Samina, we got your communications and we understand that the way the laws are right now, we couldn't evict you even if we wanted to. It'll take months. You know that, I know that. And we also understand that you do have a good faith intention and and that your business has struggled, you're recreating yourself and you're asking for 90 days to be left alone. I just wanted to acknowledge on behalf of QuadReal that we're going to give you that 90 days. And I hope you understand we are going to have to like put in an N4, just so that, we're, as a business, we protect ourselves, like, so that if we do eventually end up in court, I hope we don't, we're rooting for you, Samina, then we just rip up the N4 and just cancel the whole thing. So just understand that I just want to let you know we're on your side, but I do answer to the corporation, the shareholders, and I will have to, put an N4 in. And you could probably expect that I would do that, on the first of the month in August if we don't receive like any communications or rent. But I understand, you know, your intention is to make money and pay off the rent and not go bankrupt. See, that would be just what they should have done, except that they can't comprehend that what you said was true in that video, that you have a real, anxiety or worry problem, and and you're trying to build something out of nowhere, and just give me 90 days to focus. Like they're not bad people, they just can't comprehend that what you said was true, and um, it wasn't a tactic other than, anyway, people, I went off tangent there,
yeah.
but many people can't comprehend that the worry addict can't stop worrying even though she knows it's bad for her. Now the next sentence here is what all Addictions Anonymous is all about, and I can't wait till you read it.
Okay, can stop. And besides, we're a sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all.
That is what the spirit of all Addictions Anonymous was originally, when I created it in 2003, Samina. That was the spirit of it, that no one gets left behind, that it's all inclusive, that whether you're a hardcore addict, alcoholic, hard drinker, whatever the controversy is that goes on in this whole addiction community, the addiction world, I should say, who cares? Because our way of living has its advantages for all.
Yeah.
Right? So put that in pink if you could. Our way of living has its advantages for all. That's a promise. So you know what that tells me, Samina? That this way of living, this 12-step way of living, is should be made available to everyone. Let not jam down anyone's throat, but you don't have to be an alcoholic or an addict who's lost the absolute power of choice in order to be getting the advantages and benefits of this way of living.
Right.
That's why I created All Addictions Anonymous.
It could be someone like me, an average person who is
Could be
not
anyone.
right, and anyone.
Right.
Yeah. A year was it already? Yeah, a year ago you could say I couldn't stop worrying that I lost the power of choice.
You had lost the power of choice and worry before I even met you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I was an alcoholic, drinking and doing drugs for 17 years before I realized,
Yeah.
I'm screwed and I need to go to treatment center. 1999.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It is important that we remain anonymous because we're too few.
So, Samina, as you read this, they're telling you why everybody back then chose to remain anonymous. And yet we see all these people still being anonymous to honor these 12 traditions when the reason for being anonymous is not what you think. Read it. We choose. It is
Yeah.
important that we remain anonymous.
Because we're too few at present to handle the overwhelming number of personal appeals which may result from this publication.
Meaning this book. Look at me, Samina. What that meant is the only reason they were anonymous is because in 1939, there was no cure for alcoholism. I don't even think there was a word for it. It was like all these people who have this problem, there's no solution for these people. And all of a sudden, there's a solution. And there's only like 100 of us. If we said, my name is Scott Gallagher, and I'm one of the 100, right, that have the cure, let's say, to this thing that there never was a cure for. Let's pretend I had the cure for COVID. Well, no, that's too big. But because the whole world would relate. But anyway, I'm just saying, all of a sudden, oh my God, there's an answer to this problem, and there's never been one before. It's saying that we would be overwhelmed by the number of appeals, and we'd become martyrs. It says next, being mostly business or professional folk, we could not well carry on our occupations in such an event. We would like it understood that our alcoholic work, our 12-step work, is an avocation. We're going to read that. You're going to read that in a minute, but let's look up the dictionary meaning of avocation. Do you know the meaning of that word?
No.
Right. It's not a word we use, right? But in 39, they knew the meaning. It says it's a hobby or a minor occupation.
Okay.
See?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Right? What you've been doing is making your charitable work.
Yeah.
You've been making it your full time. So that's why I'm so proud of you and impressed that yesterday you changed your calendar so that whatever you're doing to, related to All Addictions Anonymous truly is done at limited times, limited, where it's when you would do something that is a hobby or a minor occupation.
Right.
Right?
So I still don't understand that sentence, even though they explained it. It is
Perfect.
important that we remain anonymous because we're too few at present.
If there were only 100 people in the world, only 100 people in the world that could sponsor you, and you said your last name. My name's Scott Gallagher. Oh my God. It says we couldn't handle the overwhelming number of appeals. We would have so many people reaching out, please help me, please help me, please help me. And then we couldn't carry out our actual occupations and our work because we'd be getting all these calls. And that back then it would be like phone calls. You'd get people coming to your doorstep. People were dying of alcoholism, Samina. We're not talking about, I'm talking about alcoholics that their hands shake, like they're dying, and they've tried everything and they're going to die. And then they find out that they can get help for free. And and from the people of All Addictions Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, they remained anonymous because they could not handle the overwhelming number of people that would be trying to find them and hunt them down and say, help me, I'm desperate, I'm dying. So that's why you'll always see, still to this day, because of the traditions, people say, my name is Scott and I'm an alcoholic. Like you wouldn't say, I'm Scott and I'm a medical doctor, because then you'd have some information. How do I find Scott G that's a medical doctor that lives in Brampton? I'm saying back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the reason you don't get this is because a part of you doesn't want to get it because you're just so used to like just not thinking that way. These people realize that if we put our names in the book, right? If there's going to be stories in here about Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, many of them, and the only reason you're going to know they're about those founders is because I'm going to tell you they are. But because they're dead.
I get it.
Because they're dead.
Yeah.
But can you imagine? I'm just saying the reason for anonymity is so that people could do 12-step work on their terms during their spare time and not have it so take over your life that now you're neglecting your family, your job, and your careers.
I got it. Yeah. Makes sense. I understand.
Right?
It. So I just wanted to because that's very interesting because how, before even I was present to that sentence, how you would talk about anonymous, it's so pure, that's why it's anonymous. And yeah, I'm not saying that's not true, but it still today continues. But why it started out that way, from my understanding, is because you're just so few people anonymous who could help others, and there were a huge realm of other people like alcoholics who needed help. So that's why they didn't want to say their name, because then everyone would be coming out reaching out to them for help.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
there's the number of alcoholics that existed in the planet in 1939 is probably the same number that exists today. It's the same percentage of people. Probably well over 1 million people.
Yeah.
Well over millions of people had alcoholism, but didn't know that's what it was. Maybe there wasn't a name for it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you find out this guy named Bill Wilson, right, has got the answer, and he helped write this book. Everybody would try to find him some people would try to find him and say, look, I got $1 million and I'll give it to you. But it doesn't work that way. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You had to remain anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So continue.
Yeah.
Being mostly business or professional folk.
Oh, sorry. One last thing. Before you read that. The other thing that's important to note, they're telling you why they decided to remain anonymous, because there's only like about 100 of them at this point their stories are in this book. There's about 100 people that have recovered, so they decided we got something to put in a book here, and hopefully this book can help people, because we can't help them all. There's only 100 of us, but we can send the book out to everybody for free, and that's what they did. And understand that there was no such thing as the 12 traditions yet. See, one of the 12 traditions is that we're anonymous. This is before there was 12 traditions. They just knew we can't give out our names, because if we do, oh my God, we're going to be having all of these people begging us to help them. And we don't want to be put in that position. So we're not going to tell them our last name. We're going to just remain anonymous. Otherwise, it'll destroy, every other aspect of our life. Because this work is free.
Yeah.
There are so many people that come into recovery, right, to save their marriage. And then the person gets the program, and all of a sudden they're amazing now. But now they're spending all their time helping addicts, and the wife will say, you care more about them than you do me. Right? So in other words, like you're still not dealing with the mess in our family. You're just distracting yourself, and now you're addicted to 12-step work.
Yeah.
That's why it says in step 12, having had a spiritual experience as a result of a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other addicts and practice these principles in all our affairs. In other words, it's not, step 12 isn't just about helping addicts. It's about, practicing step 12 in our lives, being this book in our lives where it matters. And helping addicts is supposed to just be a hobby, an avocation, something you do part-time, just a little bit. It doesn't become your life.
Yeah.
Okay, read that sentence again. We're almost done.
Okay. It is important that we remain anonymous because we're too few at present to handle the overwhelming number of personal appeals which may result from this publication.
Put that whole thing in orange so it stands out, right? Just like, this is why back then, see, it's not an instruction, right? Because back then it was an instruction, 1939, but at least you want to put that in orange, that whole thing. It's important that we remain anonymous right up until from this publication. In other words, they knew that once this book is in print and we start sending it out to everybody who calls in asking for help, we send out the book, and we better not have our names in it, because everybody's going to come to the people whose names are in it, and there are going to be too many of those people. And then what about the people who aren't in the book that also need to practice step 12? People won't be, going to them because they're not in the book. So did you put it in orange?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So continue reading.
Being mostly business or professional folk, we could not well carry on our occupations in such an event, which is what you're explaining. We would like it understood that our alcoholic work is an avocation.
So put in purple, our alcoholic work is an avocation?
So I know you probably told me, but I can look this up. But what's the meaning of avocation?
A hobby.
Right.
So that's what I want you to write down here. Beside avocation, write down 12-step work is part-time. And then put in brackets, spare time. So in other words, first of all, you craft out how much time do I need for my family? How much time do I need for my business? How much time do I need for all the other areas of my life that are important? And then you say, okay, then now where's my spare time fit in? Which is what you've seen me do with you for 4 years. You've witnessed it.
Yeah. Yeah. What you were
When,
doing with 1111.
with everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
This session is in the morning.
When writing or speaking publicly alcoholism, we urge each of our fellowship to omit his personal name, designating himself instead as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right. So personal name means last name. Hi, my name is Scott, and I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah. Very earnestly, we ask the press also to observe this request, for otherwise we shall be greatly handicapped.
That's powerful because the press have honored this to this day. It's so sacred and so beautiful what this movement has done, not just for alcoholics, all the 12-step fellowships that exist. Police officers will not go to an AA meeting or stand near that church to try to arrest a criminal. I'm getting chills right now. Like I feel like crying. Like it's unbelievable. The press will not talk about, oh, we saw this celebrity at an AA meeting. They won't do it. They could. There's something so sacred that is still honored to this day. We ask the press, please do not. Please do not. Oh, sorry. Please do not break our anonymity. Please do not say that a person is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Right? Because we'll be greatly handicapped. Right? Oh, look, Scott's an alcoholic. Back then in 39, all of a sudden people are calling family members, I didn't know you were an alcoholic. Or worse, oh, you're a doctor and you're an alcoholic? We're taking away your medical practice. See, Dr. Bob Smith was the second member of AA. He was sponsored by Bill Wilson, the doctor, the stockbroker. You're going to see that story later. A medical doctor could not solve his alcoholism problem. It was so bad. He needed a spiritual experience. And he didn't, let his patients know, my name's Dr. Bob Smith and I'm an alcoholic. Right?
Yeah.
This is what we mean by the humility of the anonymity. We just want to do our work quietly and help people quietly and not have all this attention on us. If anything, we want the attention on Alcoholics Anonymous because Alcoholics Anonymous has like hundreds of people, thousands of people, whatever the numbers are back then and what they are now, that can help you. And it's about the program. It's not about me. Right? The program can help you and anyone can take you through it. That's this paradigm. Okay, keep reading.
Very earnestly, we ask the press also to observe this request, Oh yeah, I read that. For otherwise we shall be greatly handicapped. We are not an organization in the conventional sense of the word. There are no fees or dues, whatever.
Whatsoever.
Whatsoever. There are no fees or dues whatsoever. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. We are not allied with any particular faith,
It says it's allied.
allied with any particular faith, sect, or denomination. Nor do we oppose anyone. We simply wish to be helpful to those who are afflicted. We shall be interested to hear from those who are getting results from this book, particularly from those who have commenced work with other alcoholics. We should like to be helpful in such cases. Inquiry by scientific, medical, and religious societies will be welcomed.
And I ask people to highlight the following in orange. And I'm going to emphasize something here before you highlight it. I want you to just kind of be present to me if you could look at me. Look what they're saying. They're saying we shall be interested to hear from those who are getting results from this book. Right? Just went out in 1939. We're interested to hear from those who are getting results from the book. But particularly from those who are doing 12-step work. It's kind of like politely saying, look, if you're not helping anyone, fuck off, but we can't say that. That's how I interpret it. It's say, we're interested in hearing if you're getting results from the book, but we're particularly interested in hearing from those of you that are passing this message on to others, that are being helpful to others. So put in orange, particularly from those who have commenced work with other alcoholics.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
And that's our session for today. Unless you have any questions, I'll just do what I did last time and stop it so you can do your social accountability sharing video.
Yeah.
And what's great is, that once again, this session was about 40 minutes. I think people are going to like that they can have short little sessions like this with us.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions on what we did?
No questions. I guess I just have a comment is that I was just present as I was going through, this book with you or that chapter. Just how much I appreciate you taking me through this. That it's you taking me through, this book at my own pace. So I just got, like who better, like for me, just appreciating the process and what I can take away from it. Not knowing what anything's gonna look like, and that's okay. But I'm just like present whenever I go through this book to the purity, the spirituality, and God. That God is always within all of us, and it doesn't matter what we do, what we don't do.
This is so beautiful. That could have been the most incredible. I'm going to just stop.